part of your mind might be sitting in your pocket right now. Not as a metaphor, as a serious scientific argument that philosophers have been fighting over for 25 years. To see why, meet a man we'll call Otto. His memory is failing, so he writes everything down. Addresses, appointments, the way home. When Otto wants to know something, he doesn't search his head. He opens his notebook. And two philosophers asked a question that sounds simple but isn't. If that notebook does exactly what memory does, where does Otto's mind actually end? We tend to assume the answer is obvious. Your mind is in your brain, behind your eyes, inside your skull. But the deeper scientists look, the harder that border is to draw. This is inner cosmos, where science meets wonder. And tonight we go looking for the edges of you. Stay with me, because later there's a brain surgery that seemed to split one person into two separate minds, until a 2017 study said we'd read it wrong this whole time. Is your mind only in your brain? It feels almost too easy. Of course it is. But hold that certainty loosely, because the same century of neuroscience that proved how much the brain matters also found cracks in the wall we thought surrounded it. The textbook story, it turns out, is messier and far stranger than what you were taught in school. Start with what we know for certain. The brain is necessary. Damage it, and you change the mind in specific, predictable ways. In 1861, a French doctor named Paul Broca examined a patient who could understand everything said to him, yet could speak only a single syllable. After the man died, Broca found damage to one small patch near the left temple. Injure that region, and a person understands speech but can no longer produce it. Injure a different spot a few centimeters away, the region Karl Wernicke mapped, and the opposite happens. Words flow freely but make no sense. Two patients, two lesions, two mirror image deficits. This is how we first mapped the mind onto matter, and the dependence is not in doubt. No functioning brain, no mind. That's the floor we build everything else on. But honesty matters here, so let's be careful. The map isn't perfectly clean. Thanks to redundancy and plasticity, some injuries cause no obvious deficit at all. Children can lose an entire hemisphere to surgery and still grow up to speak, read, and walk. The brain matters enormously. It's just more resilient, more rearrangeable than the tidy textbook diagrams suggest. Now the strangest evidence of all. To stop severe seizures, surgeons sometimes cut the thick cable of fibers joining the brain's two halves, the corpus callosum. They don't remove any tissue. They just sever the bridge. The seizures stop. The person walks out seemingly unchanged. But in the lab, something uncanny appears. Here's how the test works. Each eye's left visual field is processed by the right hemisphere, and the right field by the left hemisphere, where language usually lives. So flash a word to only the left visual field, which the right hemisphere sees, and ask the patient what they saw. They say nothing. Yet their left hand, controlled by that same silent right hemisphere, reaches out and draws the object. In some cases, one hand buttons a shirt while the other hand follows behind and unbuttons it. One brain, one body, two different answers. The talking half didn't see it. The silent half did. And when researchers ask the talking half to explain what the hand just did, it calmly invents a reason it doesn't actually know, and fully believes its own story. One brain, two answers. Sit with how strange that is for a second. For decades, this looked like proof of something staggering. Two separate consciousnesses sharing one skull. Two selves in one chair, each aware of only half the world. But here's the intellectual honesty beat. In 2017, researchers led by Yair Pinto tested split-brain patients again, more carefully. And they found those patients could actually respond to things across both visual fields, behaving like a single agent, not two. Their perception is split, but consciousness may stay unified. It's based on only two patients, and other scientists argue it could be subtle cross-cueing, the body quietly leaking information from one side to the other. So the divided perception is real. Whether it means two minds is now an open, fascinating fight at the frontier of consciousness research. The popular version says one surgery makes two people. The reality is subtler and stranger than the fiction. Then there's your body, quietly shaping every thought. When you simply read the word kick, the part of your motor cortex that moves your legs flickers to life. Read lick and the mouth region lights up instead. Read pick and it's the hand area. The map is that precise. Scientists call it somatotopy, the body laid out across the surface of the brain. Your brain seems to understand action words partly by simulating the action. The activation is well documented. Whether you truly need that body map to grasp the meaning is still debated. But the body is clearly in the loop, not watching from outside it. And the loop runs lower than you'd think. Your gut and your brain talk on a literal cable, the vagus nerve. Roughly 80% of its fibers are afferent, carrying body signals upward to the brain, including signals from the gut, into regions tied to mood and stress. The trillions of bacteria living in your gut even produce chemical messengers that can reach the brain. The pathway is real and proven. But here's where we stay disciplined. That a channel exists is established. The leap that your microbiome decides your moods or rewrites your decisions comes mostly from animal studies and early human data. It's promising, not settled. This is educational, not medical advice, and no supplement aisle has cracked the human mind. Resist the hype, keep the wonder. So step back. The brain is necessary. The body shapes thought. Your gut sends signals up. Tools, notebooks, and the phone in your pocket hold pieces of your memory. Where exactly does the mind stop? This is what Andy Clark and David Chalmers argued back in 1998. Think about Otto's notebook. They said it counts as part of his mind if it passes 4 tests. It's constantly available the way memory always is. It's easy to access and read. He automatically trusts what's written there. And he endorsed those entries when he first wrote them. By that standard, the notebook isn't a tool his mind uses. It's literally part of his mind. They called it the extended mind. Alongside it sits enactivism, the idea that thinking isn't a movie playing inside your head, but something you do by acting in the world. Both are influential. Neither is settled. Critics say they confuse using something with being made of it. And underneath all of it runs the oldest idea of all, that the real you is a soul, an immaterial essence the brain merely houses. Descartes argued the mind is a separate substance from the body, later suggesting they meet at a tiny structure deep in the brain. It's a sincere belief held across most human cultures, and a serious one philosophers still wrestle with. Science can't confirm it, and science can't refute it. We treat it with respect, and we label it clearly for what it is. So let's draw the lines cleanly. Proven. The brain is necessary, and your body and environment measurably shape how you think. Emerging. The extended mind and activism and whether a split brain holds one self or two. Belief. That you are a soul beyond the body. And myth. That we use only 10% of our brains, or that the mind is wholly non-physical and needs no brain at all. We use nearly all of the brain all the time. Alter it and you alter the mind. Every time. The same topic. 3 completely different kinds of claim. The skill is telling them apart and not letting wonder slide into wishful thinking. So come back to Otto and his notebook. If your phone holds your memories, your gut shapes your mood, and a notebook can do the remembering for you, is your mind really sealed inside your skull? Here's our honest answer. The brain is necessary, but the border may be blurrier than you were ever told. Tell us in the comments, where do you think the self actually stops? If you love standing right where science meets wonder, subscribe and come deeper with us. Because if the mind can spill past the brain, here's the question we'll chase next. What happens when the self dissolves entirely? Next time, video 4. Psychedelics and the brain when the self dissolves, the strange science of losing yourself. We'll see you in the cosmos.